Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the auditorium in Roberts Hall. Please be considerate of your fellow patrons and silence all watch alarms, cellular phones, and paging units. Please enjoy your refreshments in the lobby. Food and drink are not allowed in the auditorium. For the safety of the performers, please refrain from the use of flash photography. Audio and video recording in any format are both strictly prohibited. At this point, I would like to direct your attention to the location of exit doors around the perimeter of the auditorium. As you face the stage, you will find an exit on the left and on the right. To the rear of the auditorium, there are 4 exits, one at the top of each aisle. Please be aware that your closest exit may be behind you. Thank you.
Good evening, and welcome to the world premiere of The Holocaust, the symphonic poem that was written by Dr. Simon Skurkovch, who just happened to be my father. Don't be alarmed by all these papers that I have in my hands. My speech won't be too long. I think we are here kind of witnessing a very unique situation. This is the world premiere of a large orchestral and choral work that was written by a composer who is present here today and who is turning 94 in 10 days. When I first talked to Master Schweigin about maybe playing this piece, I told him about it, and he told me and said yes, that Renan College is interested in works commemorating the Holocaust. Renan College is known for commemorating different Holocaust-like issues. Like, for example, several years ago there was a multi-media presentation commemorating Armenian Holocaust as well. And then he said, and especially we're interested in works that are written by living composers. So I called my father and I told him that, and he said, living, right? So that became a goal to get to this point, and so I'm happy to say that my father is here today, and that is great. You can see in your program there is a brief biography of this, and he's a very accomplished medical scientist and also a composer, and he participated, he fought in the Second World War in the Russian army. And his tank unit went through Europe, from Russia, through Europe, and he ended the war in Austria. And while in Austria, his unit participated in the liberation of a Jewish concentration camp. And what he saw there certainly impressed him to the point that he never could forget the horrors that he had seen there. And it's becoming more and more important to remember the Holocaust and other genocidal events that are still taking place, because people who were in the Second World War or who were the victims of the Holocaust are basically dying out. Every day more and more people are not with us. And there's a tendency, of course, to forget. It's much easier to forget than to remember. And so we got a number of letters from different countries that are supporting today's events. And I just want to read you a couple that I think really describe different feelings from different people. We have a letter that was written by a consul general of Germany in Boston, who wrote that Germany shoulders its historic responsibility for the indescribable suffering of the Jewish people and is committed to the culture it remembers. And in the words of our foreign minister, the act is self-critical and morally compelling reference to our history's special process, which we want to continue to promote and support. In his sense, his heartfelt congratulations to all people who are present today for the premiere of the symphony. We also got a small letter from the office of Prime Minister of England, where she's writing that we know that the music was heard in many ghettos and concentration camps during the war, and that for many Holocaust victims, music was an important means of preserving and asserting their humanity. Much of this also serves as a form of historical documentation, often giving a telling glimpse into the events and emotions that they created as an original audience experience. I would like to wish you every success for this event. And the last one, I just want to actually read it in full. It will take a minute. It's really a different take on the events, a little more kind of angry, I would say. And this was written by the Russian ambassador to the United States, Mr. Kislyak. And he's writing to us because this is about today's event. And he says, "Dear friends, today's event is an opportunity to commemorate those who didn't survive and those who are having passed through all the unthinkable horrors of World War II came home physically and emotionally wounded. Through their sacrifice, we're saved then and have peace now. Gratitude is imperative. Of all the nations involved in the fight against the Nazis, my country suffered the greatest number of casualties, about 26 million people. Almost two-thirds of them were civilians. The Nazi ideology encouraged ruthless and calculated crimes against Russians, Jews, and every other nation that comprised the Soviet Union. The entire communities of men, women, and children were exterminated. No one was spared. Those who were not murdered were imprisoned and enslaved. My people were put on the brink of annihilation. Nevertheless, we managed to turn the tide of the war to repel the oppressors. The Soviet and other Allied troops moved across Europe. They liberated tens of thousands of Nazi death camps prisoners, exposing abundant evidence of mass murders. One of those Red Army soldiers was Simon Skurkovch, whose Holocaust musical premiere is to open the performance today. The victory was achieved at the cost of millions of lives lost and terrible trials endured. Sadly, with the passing of those who defeated the Nazis and their sacrifices are dropping out of the living memory. Sometimes it may seem easier to forget the past to be able to move on. However, World War II experience of unspeakable grief and pain, unbridled cruelty and criminal neglect of human life is too important to be ignored. It is our duty to share the memories of the war with the future generations, to warn them against risks of dividing mankind on ethnic, racial, religious, or any other grounds. Nazis and their collaborators and trustees should never be forgiven or forgotten, so that they can never be repeated. We should oppose any attempt to add insult to injury and to absolve or condone their crimes, or to shift the blame from the aggressors to the liberators. So it's my hope that this piece will contribute to Holocaust remembrance, because as I mentioned, and all these people mentioned, it's much easier to forget, but it's very important not to. Thank you.